What up, everybody? Another live stream. This is my third time today. Earlier on, it was about the Umbrella Academy, and then I did a review of True Detective, and now I'm back again to give you my thoughts about tonight's new episode of The Walking Dead. The Walking Dead Season 9, Episode 10, titled Omega. I think that's I think that means the end, right? Alpha is beginning, if I'm not mistaken. um Again, just like with all my episode recaps and TV reviews, this too contains spoilers. So, heads up, spoiler alert. You've been warned. I'll be spilling some spoilers here. Okay, so there's a lot to unpack. Let's start with Lydia. Lydia is the girl who is part of the Whisperers, and she got captured by Michonne and Daryl and gets thrown in the jail. And last week's episode, we found out that Daryl is using Henry to kind of connect with Lydia without Henry realizing it. And I told you that was a pretty smart strategy because Henry kind of like good cop, bad cop. So, oh, man, sorry, hold on a second here. My cable gets in the way. Uh, uh, the microphone has a long ass cable, which is not really a big problem. It's just sometimes it gets in the way. Can you hear me now? Okay, good. And I said to you that that is actually there you go, a pretty smart strategy because Daryl comes in and plays the bad cop, and then Henry without realizing it plays the good cop because Henry would just like with all teenagers would approach it in an emotional way. And that's correct. I was a teenager once. I know what I'm talking about here. Okay. uh, and because of that, sometimes people you can take advantage of Henry's good side because he's so naive and he's inexperienced, and again he is emotionally driven. It's easy to fool somebody like Henry. Um, but back to Lydia. Lydia shares the story of her past. And well, oh well, oh well. Guess who finally decides to show up? None other than the great actress Samantha Morton, one of my favorite actors in the business. Um, you've seen her as I think one of the oracles in the Minority Report, Steven Spielberg's movie. I read somewhere that she's actually not the first choice to play that role, but I'm glad she played it ultimately because I can't picture anybody else anymore playing that character but her. And she got Oscar nominated twice. The first one for were the first one was for Sweet and Lowdown. It's a Woody Allen movie, and the second one was for In America. Oh my God! If you haven't seen In America, you are missing out. Jimon Hanso is also in that movie, and he's also nominated for that role. I mean, yeah, for that movie as well. So after 10 episodes into season 9, finally we get to see Samantha Morton, and she is the leader of the Whisperers. Her name is Alpha, and it's kind of like what I'm feeling right now with Star Trek Discovery. Star Trek Discovery is like it's in its like sixth episode, I think, or going into the sixth episode next week. But we still haven't seen Spock. We still haven't seen Ethan Peck as Spock. This new this new guy playing Spock. He's nowhere to be found. So it's like, oh, when are we gonna get to see Spock? That's how I felt about Samantha Morton as Alpha. It's like, oh, so it's after the time jump. Got it, got it, got it, got it, got it. Okay, got it, bro. So in this past that Lydia shares, Lydia says that the Alpha is her mom and that she is the worried one, and now she's a tough cookie that you should not mess with. And the show or the writers draw a comparison between Carol, who is Henry's second mom, if you will, or stepmom, whatever you want to see it, however you want to see it, and then comparison between Carol and excuse me, it's been a long day, and Alpha. Um, and that is pretty interesting. It's a striking comparison because I think Alpha is what Carol could be if Carol was a villain or was bad. Now we know that in the past, Carol has done some unspeakable things, and you can argue that she did those things out of the need to survive. But then again, remember, she killed that one girl. Look at the yellow flowers. Look at the yellow flowers, and that's pretty barbaric. Um, so, and there's some other decisions in the past that Carol did that was just so questionable. And I guess you could say that maybe because we still haven't seen a lot of Alpha yet. This is the first episode. We can theorize that maybe Alpha is what Carol could be if Carol has crossed the line and there's no turning back from it, turning back from that. Then she would become somebody like Alpha. Um, but again, it's early to judge. We're still early. We still find Alpha. Um, we catch a glimpse of her past, but we haven't seen how brutal, how merciless, how ruthless she can actually be. So that remains to be seen yet. Um, in this past that Lydia shares, it's fascinating how it's not necessarily a bait and switch tactic, but it's like what Lydia says. It's a lie, but it's not my lie. It's what my mother has been telling me all these years. So that could be my story. Um, but then she shares the truth afterwards about her, how Alpha pretty much kills the dad. Um, and that goes to show of I I start out in this episode really, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm trying to think of the right words to say. Suspicious, cautious of Lydia, and half from the first to halfway through, um, I keep thinking, man, Henry is idiot. Henry is a gullible bastard because he would fall for that shit. I'm like, you can tell that she she's been indoctrinated. That's what I'm thinking from the beginning to halfway through. I'm like, this girl looks like she's been indoctrinated, meaning that you could try to be nice to her and open up to her, and she may open up to you as well, but she's gonna stab you the moment she gets a chance, and she almost did in tonight's episode. She almost does. Like she gets a hold of this hammer, and I think that baby crying kind of pretty much ruins her moment. Maybe it takes her back to her past again, and in this lie that she shares, it makes it seem as if Alpha had to evolve, out of the need to survive, just like Carol, that she eventually becomes tough, and she would, she accidentally killed this guy who was panicking, like she didn't mean to. But in the truth, not in the lie, but in the truth version of it, it's like she has no problem. Like she has crossed that line and has no problem, going beyond it. Do you see where I'm getting at here? Um, it's interesting to see the contrast between Lydia's lie of her past and the actual real story that she ultimately shares to Daryl and Henry. Um, the other arc that's going on in this one is with regards to Luke's friends. Now, Luke is played by Dan Fogler. By the end of last week's episode, Luke and Alden get ambushed by the Whisperers, and so now they're missing, presumed dead. Maybe the Whisperers killed them, and or maybe they just rough them up, to get them to talk to or to reveal about the whereabouts of Alexandria. Who knows? But Luke's friends, God bless them, man. They are so loyal to each other. From our perspective, we may see that as like stupid, that's dumb. Why would you want to go out in the middle of the night trying to find Luke? You don't have a plan. You don't know where to go. There's no compass, and the walkers can like tonight in tonight's episode, the walkers actually come out and almost eat one of them. Almost ate one of them, and it's stupid, right? It's stupid. You don't go out in the woods only with a few flashlights. Freaking hey, man, what are you thinking? Like it's so dangerous because you don't at night you don't see the zombies coming at you. You don't see them coming a mile away. You don't see there's no uh, there's no moment in which you can have a minute to react, because any minute they can actually just be behind your head and just start like biting your shoulder or whatever. um so it's so dumb. It's so dumb. But on the upside, it's so endearing when that one girl says like, "Luke found me, man," and she's so heartbroken um, about them not being able to, or she not being able to return the favor to Luke. Because Luke found her. I was like, now I can't find Luke. What kind of ingrate am I? I'm an ingrate. I can't return the favor. Um, so there is something to admire about that, but still going about it without any plan and out at night, where the visibility is pretty much none. You can't see the zombies coming at you or coming a mile away. It's 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 not a smart move, definitely. Yes, your heart for Luke is admirable, but admirable doing something admirable can get you killed if you're not doing it the smart way. Um, so those are my thoughts about that. I think, and also the one thing I have on my note here is with regards to the leadership. Now, remember, Michonne is gonna leave after next season, and by now Maggie already left. She has a new show now. Lauren Cohen has a new show on ABC. Rick Grimes has left. Rick Grimes will have his own Walking Dead TV movies. Who else? Gabriel. Gabriel's not in the picture anymore. He's gone as well. And so the former leaders have moved on or are moving on. We don't see Carol and Ezekiel anymore. So if you recall, when the news hit the web that Rick Grimes or Andrew Lincoln is leaving the show, the plan is for the writers to prep up uh, Daryl Dixon as the new leader. Right. Oh, by the way, Jesus is dead, so he's not a leader anymore as well. And so now you see in this episode the leadership styles of both Daryl and Tara, and you see how they at the very at least in tonight's episode, there's no clash between them. They actually understand each other's rhythm and why they need to do what they do. And in the case of Daryl, um, approaching or his way of interrogating Lydia, it goes from bad cop to, I guess, knowing or understanding Lydia's tricks all the way into disarming her. So ultimately, she actually let her guards down and spilled the beans to Daryl. And I think you can probably argue that Henry has a lot to do with that. And so credit where credit is due, even though Henry is stupid for letting Lydia out. But I think Henry has something to do, or to a certain degree, has some effect on Daryl's approach to Lydia at the end. Um, when Lydia finally shares with them the truth, not the lie. And also, Henry compliments Daryl. Henry says, "Hey, I'm glad my mom is good friends with you," and that means a lot to Daryl because Daryl and Carol have gone through a lot together, as you all know, or as you may remember. Um, Tara, her leadership, uh, it says a lot when she handles the when she handles Luke's friends. Some of them actually went back to the camp at night, and then in the morning, they went up to in this episode they went up to Tara and apologized, and Tara says, I understand, but I sent up a couple of guards to pick up your other friends, and the next time if you have some beef with me, just straight up talk to me, man, face to face, don't be pulling this kind of stuff, but I'm here, you can always talk to me, and it's like, hey, I don't like how this is going, or I don't like your direction, or you know at least you're gonna be facing, you're facing, at least you're talking straight to me, as opposed to just doing things outside of your, outside of what's safe and might cause you or somebody else around you to die. And I think that's pretty wise on Tara's part. I think it's pretty basic, and basic is not something bad, but basically she says, hey, you know you may not always like the way I do things, but if you don't, just talk to me. But what I'm trying to do is keep you guys safe. Um, she's not, you know, she doesn't condescend. She doesn't say, "I told you so." She doesn't say, "Hey," she doesn't scold like, "What are you doing?" or start yelling at them like, "Are you stupid or something? Why do you go out and not like that? You must be idiot." No, no, no. She doesn't go off on them. She actually says, "Hey, if you just talk to me, man, I'm here." And I think in this episode, we see the writers try to present these two type of leadership in in hopes that we, the fans or the audiences of The Walking Dead, would warm up, would warm up to the idea of Daryl and Tara as the new leaders in the absence of Rick, Michonne, Maggie, Gabriel, and Jesus. And I think it's working. I don't know about you. If you disagree, if you feel like the effort that this episode or the writers did to present to you leader Tara and leader Daryl, if you think that effort failed in some ways, let me know. Share your thoughts in the comment section below. I would love to hear um, why you disagree. Last but not least, I just want to say real quick comment before I end this review. Samantha Morton is back in her bald head style. I love that. She's rocked that many times before, not just for Minority Report. I think she's done that also for other movies. I can't remember the top. Maybe the messenger. Was it the messenger that she only had short hair in that one, but she's done it before. I've seen her like bald head, and then just like Sinead, yeah, that's her name, right? Sinead, yeah, Sinead O'Connor. Nothing compares to you. Kind of like that. It reminds me of that head style, not hairstyle. Um, I just geek out when I see that. It's like it's pretty cool, pretty cool. And she has that weird makeup that looks like Mad Max Fury Road, like Furiosa. Uh, like she's been beaten up, or maybe that's a way to intimidate her enemies. That thing on her face, but it's just cool. I love Samantha Morton. I'm so glad we finally get to see her. I can't wait for the collision. She says, my name's Alpha. We only want one thing, my daughter. And she has that thick Southern accent. I can't wait to see it. We have a new enemy in town. Can't wait to see where Negan comes in or plays into all this. Is Negan going to help the Alexandrians against the Whisperers and Alpha? We'll see. I haven't read the comic books, but if that's the direction that they're headed, it's gonna be interesting to see that collision happens, and yeah, with the new leaders as well. All right, it's fantastic new episode. What do you think? What do you think about Samantha Morton's arrival on The Walking Dead? What do you think about the leadership styles of both Daryl and Tara? Um, do you agree with their decision or the way they approach certain things? Um, in this case, Daryl also relates to Lydia with regards to parents beating kids up. He can understand her on that level. Um, so, what do you think? What do you think about tonight's episode? And share them in the comment section below, as always. And again, please subscribe to my channel and press that like button, ring that bell so you can get notified whenever I post new videos. Rama Screen is also available as audio podcast on both iTunes and Spotify. And lastly, if you can help support this channel, please do so at patreon.com/ramascreen. That's patreon.com/ramascreen. Thanks for tuning in, you guys. Have a good night. Let's rock this.